When you think of ancient Egypt, what comes to mind? The golden mask of Tutankhamun, the colossal pyramids of Giza, piercing the desert sky. These are the icons, the final, breathtaking chapters of an epic story. But what if I told you that the real story, the one that made all of this possible, began thousands of years earlier? What was Egypt like before ancient Egypt? Before the first pharaoh, before the first dynasty. Today, we're not just looking at history, we're peeling back the layers of time to reveal a lost world. We're diving deep into the pre-dynastic period, a time of scattered villages, powerful chiefs, and the quiet, monumental work of laying the foundations for the greatest civilization the world has ever known. This isn't the story you know. This is the true beginning. The story of pre-dynastic Egypt isn't just about people, it's about a river, the Nile. This magnificent ribbon of life, flowing north through an otherwise barren desert, was the ultimate gift. Each year, its predictable floods deposited a layer of rich, black silt, creating an agricultural paradise. This stability allowed the first settled cultures to put down roots and flourish. One of the earliest we know of is the Bedouin culture. Emerging around 4400 BC, they were farmers and craftsmen, creating some of the first truly distinctive Egyptian pottery. But this was just the start. As time went on, these small communities evolved. We see the rise of the Naqada cultures, named after the town where their remains were first discovered. We can track their development through three phases, Naqada I, II, and III. These weren't just isolated villages anymore. They were bustling towns, interconnected by the great highway of the Nile. Trade flourished, not just between neighboring towns but with distant lands like Mesopotamia. This constant exchange of goods and ideas fueled a rapid acceleration in technology and social organization. Power began to consolidate. Small villages grew into regional chiefdoms, each vying for resources, land, and influence. The stage was being set for a much larger drama. But how do we know all this? The people of pre-dynastic Egypt left behind a treasure trove of clues, showing us a society of incredible sophistication and artistry. Forget the idea of primitive cave dwellers. These people were master craftsmen. They produced high-quality, ripple-surfaced pottery, fired to perfection. They carved breathtakingly beautiful vases from some of the hardest stones on earth, like diorite and basalt, with a precision that baffles modern engineers. They were even experimenting with early forms of faience, a type of glazed ceramic that would become a hallmark of Egyptian art. And their creativity wasn't just for decoration. Take a look at these cosmetic palettes. Initially, they were simple, functional slate slabs used for grinding minerals like malachite for protective eye makeup. But over time, they became elaborate ceremonial objects, carved with intricate scenes of animals, hunts, and warfare. These weren't just objects. They were canvases for storytelling and displays of power. The same is true for ceremonial masons. What started as a simple weapon evolved into a powerful symbol of authority, wielded by chiefs and early kings. Look closely at the carvings on these artifacts. You can see the very first whispers of hieroglyphic writing, the seeds of a system that would define Egypt for millennia. Even their tombs were becoming more complex. Simple pit graves gave way to mud brick-lined chambers filled with grave goods, pottery, tools, and personal items, all signaling a growing belief in an afterlife, a belief that would eventually inspire the pyramids themselves. For centuries, Egypt was a land of two halves. In the south was Upper Egypt, a long, narrow valley represented by the tall white crown. In the north was Lower Egypt, the vast, marshy delta, symbolized by the distinctive red crown. These two regions had their own distinct cultures, their own gods, and their own rulers. The final chapter of the pre-dynastic period is the story of how these two lands became one. This wasn't a single event, but a slow, complex process of conflict, diplomacy, and consolidation that played out over generations. Powerful rulers from the south, likely from burgeoning centers like Hierakonpolis and Abydos, began to exert their influence northwards, gradually absorbing the smaller chiefdoms of the delta. This monumental moment of unification is captured on one of the most important artifacts in all of history, the Nama palette. Discovered in Hierakonpolis, this ceremonial palette, dating to around 3100 BC, tells a powerful story in stone. On one side, we see a king, identified by the hieroglyph or Nama, wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt, about to strike down a captive from the north. On the other side, that same king is shown wearing the red crown of Lower Egypt, surveying his victory. Many historians believe this artifact depicts the symbolic, and perhaps actual, military unification of the two lands under a single ruler, King Nama, who was often identified with Menes, the legendary first pharaoh of Egypt. With this act, the pre-dynastic era came to a close. The first true nation-state in history was born, and the dynastic period began. So, why does this prehistoric, often overlooked period matter so much? Because everything we associate with the glory of ancient Egypt, the divine pharaoh, the dual administration of a united kingdom, the artistic styles, the religious beliefs about the afterlife, it all has its roots right here, in the pre-dynastic period. The pharaohs didn't invent Egypt, they inherited a template that had been carefully crafted over 2,000 years. The political structure, the economic system built on Nile agriculture, and the core ideology of kingship were all established before the first dynasty was ever officially crowned. Understanding this deep past is the key to understanding the incredible resilience and continuity of Egyptian civilization for the next 3,000 years. The mystery before the pharaohs is the secret to their enduring power. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey to the very dawn of Egyptian civilization. If you love exploring the origins of the world's greatest cultures, make sure to subscribe to the Origin Pulse and hit that notification bell. Next week we leave the Nile and journey to Mesopotamia to uncover the story of the world's first true empire, the Akkadian Empire. You won't want to miss it. See you then.